Today, Naomi and I are going to be talking to you about a common perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause symptom, aches and pains in the joints. So my name's Kate. I am a menopause mentor, a menopause wellbeing practitioner, a menopause yoga teacher, and a hormone yoga therapy teacher. And I've been a yoga teacher for 13 years.
And hi, my name's Naomi. I'm a Kunda dance teacher, a yoga teacher. I'm a womb awakening facilitator. I've been a hands-on Ayurvedic massage therapist and energy body worker for like 20 years. And I'm a spirit painter.
Thank you, Naomi. So I thought today what we will do is we'll kick off by just talking about what is going on in the body, a very quick snapshot of what is happening with our hormones. And then we'll start to talk about Ayurveda, talk about how yoga can help, and give you some really good takeaways that you can use in your life to help you with your aches and pains. So, firstly, just to say, in terms of aches and pains, I definitely feel you. I'm postmenopause. I've got currently issues that I've had ongoing for a few years with my shoulder. My lower back is a little bit tender, and and I kind of manage those in lots of different ways. So just to quickly start off with what is happening to our bodies, in case you're from a hormone perspective. So firstly, what is happening is that we are aging. And as we start to age, things do start to happen in our bodies. We are kind of going towards that older time in our life where we do have differences. Our bodies become drier. We do have, certain things that are happening to us in life as we start to age. The second thing that is happening, which kind of pertains to this chat more, is what is happening in our hormones. So there are lots of hormones in play when we're talking about aches and pains, and specifically inflammation. And the one that kind of the sort of the biggie really is estrogen. Now, what happens in perimenopause is our estrogen goes kind of up and goes down, and this can cause we have estrogen receptors all over the body, and estrogen really lubricates our joints and our muscles and helps us feel good. So when our estrogen starts to decline, that causes inflammation. And it causes changes in our inflammation markers. Progesterone is another hormone that also kind of protects us. Progesterone starts to drop off in our late 30s. Actually, they're now saying mid-30s. And progesterone is a calming hormone. So as your progesterone is declining, we become more sensitive to stress. And stress impacts our pain as well. It's a scientifically proven fact that when we are feeling more stressed, we feel pain more. And when we're not sleeping, we also feel pain more. So we've got a lot of things going on. The other thing is our cortisol. So cortisol is an amazing hormone that actually helps with inflammation. But what's happening in our modern world is that we are continually stressed. So, cortisol, helps us, and it spikes and helps us with inflammation. But if we're constantly in this kind of high cortisol state, then that causes other problems in the body as well, namely like autoimmune and other issues with the body. So there are lots of kind of issues that we really have to look at. And the third issue is something that we can really have a lot of influence over is our diet. And there are certain foods that do cause inflammation in the body, and there are certain foods that can really help us and to help us reduce that inflammation. So I will be sharing those at the end of this call. But really, we want to talk about today things that we can control, things that we can do, things that from our practices as yoga teachers, as healers, as holistic body workers, we can really help you with today. So one thing is, so we've just finished our 21-day Nourish to Flourish program, and Naomi has so much information about Ayurveda, and I'm actually drinking my special prime tea at the moment, Naomi. And I was just constantly learning so many new things. And Ayurveda is such an amazing science that really works, that is the kind of the science of yoga. So I wanted to hand over to Naomi really to talk about kind of the Ayurveda perspective really in terms of inflammation and aging and hormones.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Kate. So firstly, just a little bit about Ayurveda. If nobody knows or has even heard of Ayurveda, Ayurveda is Ayurveda, the science of life, is about an 8,000-year-old Indian holistic health system. It's the sister science of yoga. And very basic, very top level, we look at ourselves in the world as the elements. So around us, energetically, we're working with the elements of the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether. And Ayurveda will say that we are all born uniquely with a balance of these elements, and that is called your dosha. It's called your constitution. It's a unique constitution to everybody. You might have heard of people talking about vata, pitta, and kapha, and these are three groups where we group up elements to explain really a kind of type of energetic balance. So when we will talk about vata, we're talking about the air and the ether element. When we're talking about pitta, we're talking about the fire element. We're talking about kapha, we're talking about the earth and the water element, and they have characteristics which define them. So when we're talking, and we in Nourish to Flourish, we look at questionnaires, we look at ourselves, we look at how we respond to stress and what kind of lifestyles we choose, and we kind of have an understanding for our unique constitution, and we work with ourselves accordingly for that. So just top level, when we're moving into post-menopause part of life, if I can speak, moving into the vata stage of life. And so vata, when vata increases, vata is cool. Vata, so you think of vata as the air. So imagine the air on a windy day. It's moving, it's dry, it's cool, it's fast. It can become erratic. It's also the king of the dosha, so actually kind of fuels the other elements. When vata gets out of balance, joint pain is one of the symptoms of an out of balance or too much vata in the body. Inflammation actually is too much pitta, too much fire in the body, but they go hand in hand. That's another story. But when we're looking at vata, we're looking at drying, cooling properties, joint pains, our mind racing, insomnia, irregular appetite, irregular bowel movement. It's all irregularities. When vata takes over, we become irregular in all our symptoms, in all our bodily systems. So what we're doing all the time in Ayurveda is trying to balance and trying to calm the vata, the ether element. And we do this, like one of the things that Ayurveda suggests is doing a daily oil massage with warm oils. Why are we doing this? That actually also detoxes the body, but it's also rejuvenating the cells in the body. It's lubricating the joints, the ligaments, the tendons, and it has an overall grounding effect on how to calm the vata down. Air wants to rise. We need to calm it. We need to ground it. We need to nourish it. It's all about the kind of the oils and the ojas and this kind of having an oiliness and nourishment to the vata. So we know that as we age, our vata increases and increases, osteoporosis, things like this. This is a vata condition. So we're always trying to calm vata, but we're trying to calm vata anyway because we live in a fast-paced world. So we're always trying to do that. We're always trying to balance. Does that make sense top level? We're also, with Ayurveda, we're always nourishing through food. So food is our first medicine in Ayurveda. And then lifestyle, and then supplements. So we're always nourishing with food. So when we're working with vata, we're wanting to balance that dryness and that coolness with warmth, with moist, with slow. So it's warm soups. It's your warm, I'll talk about the tea separately, but it's the warm soups, warm stews, warm fruits, stewed fruits. It's all about this warmth and about the moisture, so the body can kind of really absorb that. And you will find that when you're having your porridges, your warm porridges and your warm soups, which naturally we want to do in winter, because naturally our body, we're always trying to balance. The body's always trying to have homeostasis, isn't it? It's always trying to do that. Naturally, we go towards those foods. Well, what do those foods do? Well, they make us feel nourished. They make us feel grounded. They warm us up. So that's what we're doing. And when we're working, and and there are special supplements for joint pains, and there are special oils for joint pains. We use sesame oil, but that sesame oil in Ayurveda is always added when they're using when people have joint pains, you'll use Maharayana oil, which is filled with, like, I think 52 herbs inside, infused in this sesame, which really go in to really help pain. And we can help ourselves by doing daily warm oil massages before a shower every day. And yes, supplements. And as Kate said, getting your body into a rhythm where you can sleep, where you can have rest and recuperation. We do most of our healing when we're sleeping. And one of the things which happens in menopause is people lose their sleep. The vata starts to increase, movement in the mind, movement in the body, and it's hard to sleep. So we try and go in to help the sleep. And that's when we come up with Ayurveda will suggest lifestyles for the vata. Vata needs a routine. Vata, when the vata gets out of control, they can't do a routine. And vata also is about creativity, spontaneity, and so it naturally doesn't want to have a routine. So how you calm your vata is give it a routine. Eat the same time every day, exercise the same time every day, go to bed the same time every day. So and there's many yogic sciences that we share in Nourish to Flourish to help you sleep, to help you get the rest and that rejuvenation.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the, obviously that's our area of expertise is yoga. And it's really interesting because when you start to kind of look at what yoga does as a science, whatever kind of yoga that is, like I was looking at some statistics that, 86% of people that do yoga report like a reduction in stress, and like, how things like yoga nidra really take our brain into the kind of delta wave so that we have much better sleep. And I think sometimes people don't always really understand the kind of the breadth of yoga and how much whatever yoga you do, whether that's vinyasa, whether that's kundalini, whether that's menopause yoga, how much doing that, just having a regular daily practice, maybe for 10-20 minutes a day, how much that influences us and how much that can calm us and soothe our nervous system. And I think that's one of the staggering things about pain as well, is how much emotions affect our pain. And it's if people feel happier and their endorphins are flowing and their serotonin is flowing, then they don't feel pain as much, and if people feel loved and stroke their pets and hug their kids and love, then they flood their body with the love hormone oxytocin, and again you don't feel pain as much. So there are shifts that we can shift chronic pain by feeling connected, feeling loved, doing yoga, doing pranayama. And I think that is something that people don't realize. Like so many people on lots of menopause groups that I'm on, women that are really struggling, and I always sort of suggest yoga, and they're like, oh no, my brain is too active, I can't do yoga. And you think, oh, that's what you need, like that. But no, I can't focus on yoga, it's not for me. And one thing that strikes me about so Naomi teaches kundalini, and she teaches something called kunda dance, which she'll talk about. And with a lot of what Naomi teaches, there are similarities to what I've been taught with the hormone yoga and the menopause yoga. Like a lot of the things that some of the qigong that we do, some of the breathing practices we do for brain fog, the breath of fire, they're very similar. And it's almost like now I do Naomi's classes and I'm like, oh my God, that's so weird that's in menopause yoga, or stimulating the pituitary gland, that's in hormone yoga. And it's very like in kundalini and kunda dance, hormones are a big thing, aren't they? You talk about them quite a lot.
So what we say in Kundalini yoga is the glands are the guardians of your health. Simple. Start to work the glands, and the glands will start secreting optimally, and you will start to have good health. And that's the kind of one of the sayings. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of hormone yoga does come from Kundalini. She actually kind of took that from there. So a lot of her breathing practices are directly taken from Kundalini. And you always talk a lot about the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, and that's just something that comes up in how you teach, isn't it?
Yeah. So pituitary gland is called the master gland. So we want to be working the pituitary gland so that it kickstarts all the other glands in the body. And in Kunda dance, we're dancing through the chakras. And there's many ways of teaching the chakras, isn't there, Kate? Kate knows, she's also taught the chakras in the yoga classes she teaches. But we know that there's specific glands for each chakra as well. So when we're stimulating pituitary gland, it naturally is kickstarting and stimulating all the other glands in the body. And so it has this, it has like this little domino effect or a lighting up effect. I like to think of the glands as like lighting up. And so each chakra, little stars, yeah.
Think of that because the hormones are like little chemical messengers and they communicate. So it's not like, oh, I've got a problem with my thyroid and that's it. Like the thyroid is connected to the pituitary, the thyroid is connected to the adrenals are connected to the ovaries. Everything is like these little, like I that's how I think about it.
Because they're very, I think when we think like that, to know that our body is such a delicate, I mean, it's an incredible system, but it's so delicate. The nervous system, when you look at the nervous system, you're like, my goodness, it's so delicate. And the hormones are like, it's delicate. It's a delicate dance. It's a delicate balance. However, so powerful when you start working with the glands. You know, when we're working with some people who, I know it's a different subject to talk about burnout, but a lot of people have thyroid issues now. That's really increased in women. But I learned about the balance between the thyroid and the adrenals, and we use that. So when we're doing Kunda dance, so Kunda dance for anyone who doesn't know is Kundalini yoga standing up, balanced with a little bit of Qigong and Tai Chi. When we're working with the throat chakra, we often connect down to the adrenals as well. So they're not sitting separately. We're all connected. Everything's connected. I wanted to say one thing about Kunda dance while we're talking about it, is that my personal experience of Kunda dance, why I love it so much, many reasons why I love it so much, but I definitely have, touch wood, other than having a bit of hip stretching pain the other day, I don't have any pain in my body. And this is my big thing. I sleep through the night without fail. And I have gone through one of the hardest times of my life emotionally. And I can't believe that I was able to just keep sleeping and keep on dancing. And so the Kunda dance really does work. Like, it's super accessible, super fun. It's woven all the way through our Nourish to Flourish. Yet it packs a punch, I would say. It's basically really, really kept me healthy. And we release so much serotonin in Kunda dance. So that's the feel-good hormone. So we know that serotonin actually doesn't come from the brain like we used to think. It's actually coming from the gut lining. So again, feeding back to what Kate said earlier, we're always working with the gut in Ayurveda. For every symptom, for every ailment, we come back to gut health, which is why one of the reasons why Kate's drinking her cumin, coriander, and fennel tea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're working in Kunda dance. We're very much we're releasing. We're releasing a lot of endorphins, a lot of serotonin, and it makes you feel good. And like Kate said, when you're starting to flood the body with these hormones, with serotonin and feel good endorphins, you don't feel pain like you did before.
No, you don't.
I love about Kunda dance is it's accessible. Anyone can do it.
Everyone can do it. And even when you've got a sore shoulder or when you've got a sore back, sometimes people don't always want to do certain styles of yoga, but Kunda dance is just fun. It's jumping, it's stumping, it's saying no. And it's really good fun. And after I came back from England at Christmas, I felt I'd eaten loads. I'm going to talk about food a little bit in a second, but I'd eaten loads of food. I felt heavy in my body. We both felt really sort of foggy and didn't feel, in our normal flow. And I did Kunda dance, Naomi and I, for sort of 7 days, did everything. We did like a mini Nourish to Flourish for 7 days. We did everything. Naomi had me in my study banging the floor, and it worked, 7 days. And I was like, I feel all right again. I feel back in the room. Yeah. And that was kind of part of the reason we designed this, I think, because we realized, my God, last week I felt like absolute shit, and 7 days of doing these practices, not a lot, just like short practices every day, I felt like I was kind of back. And I think that one thing that is really important, and we're not nutritionists, we're not naturopaths, but when you train in menopause yoga, when you train in hormone yoga, you can't exclude nutrition. You can't not talk about supplements and herbs, because they are so important. And also essential oils, all of those things, work. So I think that just to sort of talk about, you know, some of the things that can, if you're watching this and you really do want some takeaways from a food perspective. And these were all the things that I was eating over Christmas as well. It probably made me feel, and I actually felt more pain in my shoulder when I came back. So some of the things that are, you know, that are kind of things that we should try and eliminate if we are feeling pain: refined carbohydrates, sugar, alcohol, smoking, gluten, and processed meat. They're the things that really, you know, should go. We want to try and clean up our diet. And things that we should look at introducing are fatty fish, berries, blackberries, blueberries, nuts, leafy greens, avocados, turmeric, garlic. Even dark chocolate is also really good. And some of the supplements that are really good to look at. Turmeric is amazing. If you Google like turmeric and inflammation, it's amazing. I make I'll share the recipe on the group. I make a turmeric. It's an Ayurvedic recipe for a turmeric latte, and it's so easy. I make a paste and stick it in my fridge and use it for everything. I'll share that on the group. So turmeric is like, get as much of it down you as you can. The capsules are also good with black pepper. It has to have black pepper so that it's activated. Omega-3s are really important. Zinc, green tea is really good. Boswellia extract, which is in frankincense, is also really useful. Essential oils that are good: doTERRA do an oil called Deep Blue, which is great. Peppermint oil is really good because it's got menthol in, and that can kind of help switch the way that the brain sort of, because of the coldness of it, it kind of switches, the menthol switches the way the brain sees pain. So peppermint is a really good oil to put on aches and pains. Camphor, lavender, wintergreen. Magnesium is another really good supplement to take in the evening to help with sleep and also to help with achy joints as well. Are there any other things, Naomi, that I've missed that you think, oh, that'll be good to add? Because that ginger is another one as well.
Yeah, and ginger also stimulates digestion, which also helps. But turmeric, yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I swear by my turmeric lattes and my golden milk, it's called.
Yes, golden milk, and it's so easy. And like people, I was telling my my sister about it this week because she's not been feeling very well, and I was like, you've got to have turmeric and ginger. And she sent me a picture where she was making the shots, and I was like, look, whatever format you can have it, just try to get that down you as much as you can. And
yeah, it's lovely. It's a little shot, isn't it? Little
she was
cayenne
making
pepper.
little
You can put
shots with apple and ginger with her juicer. But yeah, making, you know, having, I every night that's what I have. I put a scoop of my a tablespoon or a teaspoon of my paste in with some almond milk, and it's really nice, a bit of cinnamon, and it's a really nice evening drink. And I think if you have got aches and pains, another thing that is really good that I know Naomi doesn't like, but I swear by this. So in the morning when I get up early, I might make a funny video. I'm literally like an old granny sometimes in the morning. I'm like, like achy. And then I go and I've got like a cold little plunge thing that I bought for my garden. I don't do it every morning. If it's too cold, I can't face it. But I put ice in it, a little bit of ice in it. It's filled up with water, and I get in it, and it's like, it's like literally, I feel like I'm going to die. Not recommended for everybody. But I swear to God, I jump out of that. It's like a joke. I go into it like a 90-year-old woman, and I come out of it like a 25-year-old woman and run up and to teach yoga. And it does 100% really help me. But I know that the cold's not for everybody. So please make sure you do your research on that. Don't just go and jump into ice.
One thing we do in yoga is that we really suggest getting up and having a cold shower. So if you can't face going into an ice pool, you can just get a shower head. So you don't have to put it over your head. You can shower, and they say put the shower on the liver and the stomach and the kidneys. You know, it really helps to kind of stimulate and cleanse them up and down the legs, soles of the feet. You know, just to wake up.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's great. I'm just trying to think of something else. I wanted to talk a little bit about calming the nervous system and how that also helps. When you talked about yoga nidra, and we weave this into our Nourish to Flourish, everything we know, we weave into Nourish to Flourish. But you know, using the breath, using everything that we know that we can, our tools in yoga, because we have yoga. The yoga will help any situation. You can calm, you can stimulate, you can balance, you can just do anything with breath, movement, sound. But yeah, learning to really, really soften and calm the nervous system, I think really helps with pain. And being able to do mindfulness exercises where, yeah, you kind of really can calm and sit with the body and really become embodied And there are little exercises you can do where you can write to parts of, free write. So you can speak to your body, you will be so amazed at the wisdom the body holds and what it wants to share with you. Sometimes the pain's there because it's saying, I've got something I really want to tell you about. I don't want you, you're doing this too much. Or, it's flashing up because it's saying, please listen to me, because we overlook the body often. We think our minds know better. And so embodiment practices, I think, are very helpful too.
That's so true, Naomi, what you say there. Like, I remember when I first kind of learned, I read a book years ago on a beach in Costa Rica about kind of womb awakening years ago. And I know that's what you do. And I remember sort of putting my hands on my stomach and being like, oh my God, I realized that for 20 years, I had been living a life that I didn't really want to live. And that's quite hard. A lot of people don't want to really deal with that. We're kind of going deep. And I remember I read this book, and I'll put it in the notes. And she had a life, she worked in advertising, a bit like me. Everything in her life came crashing down, and she kind of, and it was the first time that I thought, God, that's why I used to have a lot of severe period pain. Like, literally, I could not get out of bed. It was so bad. And it was reading this book, and it made me think, and I know this is a bit kind of hippy dippy for some people, but my womb was trying to tell me all of those years that I wasn't living my true life. And when I actually acknowledged that, and I started to live the life that I really wanted to live, and become a yoga teacher and live where I wanted to live, and work holistically and listen, guess what happened? That pain went. And it was screaming pain, it was like, and I believe that was because I was living this kind of fast-paced, crazy London life that wasn't really my true dharma. But we could talk all day, couldn't we?
Should we invite people to share anything they'd like to share in the comments, and we will get back to them?
Yes, please do. Whether you're watching this on Facebook, whether you're watching this on YouTube, or whether you're watching this on our websites, please do reach out to us. Just to let you know that we teach every week. So Naomi teaches Kunda dance, I teach menopause yoga, and I teach restorative yoga. And both of those are very, very, very good to calm down the nervous system. And I teach morning yoga, which is a bit more flowy, vinyasa vibes. So if you'd like to know more about our classes, do reach out. And our next Nourish to Flourish program is going to be a spring program, and it's starting on the 25th of March. So I'll put the link in this post, or just reach out to us if you want to know more. There is different payment options, so there is a bit of a discount if you book before the 1st of March. So if you're interested in that, do reach out. And thank you for watching today. Thank you, Naomi.